The shotgun blast echoed across the mesquite flats like God's own thunder, splintering the silence of the ranch at dawn. Luke Harlan froze mid-stride, his boots sinking into the dew-soaked earth, heart slamming against his ribs as he realized the buck he'd been tracking was gone, replaced by the cold barrel of his father's Remington aimed square at his chest. "Boy," Harlan Sr. growled, voice thick with bourbon and betrayal. "You think you can hide who you are from me? From this family? Pack your shit and get the hell off my land before I make you a ghost." That was the morning Luke lost everything. The sprawling Double H Ranch in the Texas Panhandle, the legacy of cattle barons who'd clawed their way from dust bowls to oil booms, and the fragile illusion of belonging. At 22, fresh out of Texas A&M with a degree in agronomy that meant jack shit now, he stood there in the pale light, the air heavy with the scent of creosote and regret. His father's eyes, those same steel-gray eyes Luke saw in the mirror every damn day, burned with a disgust that cut deeper than any bullet could. "You're a shame, Luke. Shameless. Sham in the family name with your filth." The word hung like smoke, choking the space between them. Luke's mother hovered in the kitchen window, her apron twisted in white-knuckled hands, but she said nothing. She never did when the patriarch spoke. He didn't beg. Luke Harlan wasn't built for that. Instead, he straightened his flannel shirt, the one his dad had given him for his 18th birthday, and spat into the dirt. "You raised a queer son, Pa. Deal with it or don't. But this is who I am." The old man didn't flinch, just thumbed back the hammer with a click that echoed Luke's fracturing world. By noon, Luke's beat-up Ford was loaded with a duffel bag, his rodeo buckle, and a single photo of the three of them at the state fair, smiling, "Oh," as he peeled out down the gravel drive, dust billowing like a funeral pyre. He glanced in the rearview and saw his father silhouetted against the barn, unyielding as the live oaks that clawed at the sky. Amarillo swallowed him whole that first night, a neon-lit sprawl of motels and truck stops where anonymity was the only currency. Luke crashed at a flea bag on Route 66, the kind with vibrating beds and walls thin enough to hear the couple next door fighting over alimony. Sleep came in fits, haunted by the ranch's ghosts, the lowing of Angus steers at branding time, his mother's cornbread cooling on the sill, the way his little sister Ellie used to sneak him extra bacon at breakfast. Ellie, God, she was only 15. Would she hate him now, or worse, pretend he never existed? By week 2, the savings from his summer gigs were evaporating faster than creek water in July. He bounced between day labor jobs, welding pipe at the refineries, hauling hay for feedlots, anything to keep the gas tank from hitting E. Nights blurred into bars on the edge of town, dim-lit joints where the jukebox spun George Strait and the whiskey burned away the ache. That's where he first spotted Hunter. Hunter Cole was all lean muscle and quiet storm, nursing a shiner at the end of the scarred oak bar like he owned the shadows. Mid-20s, with sun-bleached hair that fell just so over hazel eyes that seemed to see through bullshit like X-ray vision. He wore a faded Pearl Jam tee under a denim jacket patched with anti-war pins, remnants of his stint dodging drafts in some California protest circle, or so the whispers went. Luke didn't approach at first. He just watched, nursing his own beer, wondering what a guy like that was doing in a red dirt dive like the Rusty Spur. Fate, or maybe just bad aim, intervened when Luke's elbow knocked over a half-empty pitcher. Suds cascaded across the bar, soaking Hunter's sleeve. "Shit, man. Sorry," Luke muttered, grabbing napkins like a lifeline. Hunter just chuckled, low and easy, rolling up his cuff to reveal a tattoo of a compass rose on his forearm, north pointing jagged, like it had been carved in a hurry. No harm. World needs more accidents like that. Keeps things interesting. Their eyes locked then, and Luke felt it, that electric pull, like static before a lightning strike. No words needed. Hunter slid onto the stool beside him, ordered 2 shots of Patron, and by last call, they were trading stories in the parking lot under a canopy of stars sharp as broken glass. Hunter was a drifter, born in Austin but we'd up in foster homes after his folks OD'd on bad heroin. He'd scraped through community college on grants, majored in environmental science, but dreams of saving the planet fizzled against student loans and a gig economy that chewed up idealists. Now he consulted for wind farms up in the Panhandle, mapping turbines that sliced the horizon like modernist prayers. It's bullshit. Half the time, he admitted, leaning against Luke's truck, the gravel crunching under his boots. Big oil pulls the strings, greenwashes their sins. But it pays, and it gets me out of the city. Luke spilled too, halting at first, then in a rush, like lancing a wound. The ranch. The shotgun. The shame. Hunter listened without pity, just nodded like he'd heard it 1,000 times, which he probably had. Family's a loaded gun. All right. Fires when you least expect. He reached out then, casual as breathing, brushing dust from Luke's collar. The touch lingered, warm against the chill night air, and Luke's breath hitched. No one had touched him like that since high school fumblings in the back of a hayloft, stolen and scared. Hunter's hand dropped, but his eyes held the promise. You got a place to crash tonight? They ended up at Hunter's Efficiency above a laundromat, the kind of spot where the walls smelled like dryer sheets and regret. It was messy in that lived-in way. Books stacked like Jenga towers, Rachel Carson rubbing spines with Larry McMurtry, a half-dead fiddle-leaf fig by the window, and a twin bed shoved against the wall. They didn't fuck that night, not yet. Just talked till the sky lightened to peach. Bodies inches apart, the space between them humming with unspoken want. Hunter shared his last joint, the smoke curling like confessions, and for the first time since the ranch, Luke felt seen. Not as a shame, but as a man. Weeks blurred into months. Luke landed steady work as a roustabout on a frack crew, his hands calloused from pipe wrenches and his back aching from dawn to dusk shifts. Hunter's wind farm job took him on the road, but he'd roll back into Amarillo every fortnight, their reunions frantic and tender. Diner pancakes at 2 a.m., drives out to Palo Duro Canyon where they'd hike slot canyons hand in hand, whispering futures that felt dangerously real. Love crept in sideways, disguised as borrowed hoodies and inside jokes about bad country radio. Hunter called him cowboy, with a smirk that made Luke's knees weak, and Luke retaliated by brewing coffee strong enough to strip paint, just how Hunter liked it. But cracks formed early. A phone call from Ellie, her voice small through the static. Luke, Pa says you're dead to us. But I miss you. Maz. She's not right. He pictured her in that big empty house, the one built on Harlan pride and buried secrets. What secrets? Luke had always assumed the ranch was clean, hard work, honest beef, the American dream wrapped in barbed wire. But Ellie's whispers hinted at shadows, late-night arguments, Pa's business trips to Houston that left him reeking of cheap perfume and cheaper lies. Hunter sensed the storm brewing. You can't go back, Luke. Not yet. They'll break you again. They were tangled in sheets one humid August night, sweat slick and spent, Hunter's fingers tracing the scars on Luke's knuckles from a bar fight he'd picked after too many shots. Build something here. With me. Luke wanted to believe it. God, he did. But the pull of blood was a riptide, dragging him under. The first betrayal came soft, like a whisper in the dark. Ellie mailed a letter, postmarked from the ranch, scented with Ma's lavender soap. Inside, a pressed wildflower from the creek bed and words that gutted him. Pa's selling off parcels. Says the bank's breathing down our necks. But I heard him on the phone, Luke, talking about the old well and making it disappear. Come home. Please. Hunter found him on the fire escape at midnight. The letter crumpled in his fist, tears carving tracks through the dust on his cheeks. It's family, Hunt. I can't just let it drown. Hunter pulled him close, jaw tight. Family ain't blood. It's who stays when the shotgun's cocked. But Luke was already packing, the Ford's tank topped off by dawn. He left a note on the fridge, gone to fix what's broke. Love you, cowboy. The road unspooled west, toward the only home he'd ever known, oblivious to the truth waiting like a rattlesnake in the grass. The double H loomed like a mirage as Luke crested the hill, the ranch house squatting defiant against a sky bruised with thunderheads. It had been 8 months, a lifetime in heartbreak years, and the place looked worn, paint peeling from the siding like old skin, the windmill creaking lazy circles over the dry stock tank. He killed the engine a quarter-mile out, gravel popping under tires, and walked the rest, boots whispering secrets to the earth. Heart pounding, he scanned for signs of life. Pa's truck by the barn? Ma's curtains twitching? Nothing. Just the wind moaning through the corrals, empty now save for a lone coyote slinking toward the arroyo. Ellie spotted him first, bursting from the back door like a colt let loose, her braid whipping as she sprinted across the yard. At 16 now, she was all legs and freckles, but her hug crushed the air from his lungs. Luke! Oh God! Luke! You're really here. She buried her face in his shirt, smelling of hay and home, and for a moment, he was whole again. I knew you'd come. Ma's inside. She don't say it, but she prays for you every night. Ma was a ghost in the kitchen, apron starched but eyes hollowed by sleepless nights. She set a plate of biscuits before him without a word, her hands trembling as she poured coffee black as sin. Your father's in town, she murmured finally, back turned to the sink. Bank meeting. Won't be back till dark. The unspoken hung heavy. Don't make me choose. Luke nodded, throat tight, and wolfed the food like a man starved. Ellie chattered to fill the silence. School drama, the drought killing the herd, Pa's temper flaring hotter than a branding iron. But her eyes darted to the floorboards, and Luke caught it, the loose plank by the stove, pried up just enough to hint at hiding places. That night, Pa returned like a thunderclap, slamming the screen door so hard the hinges sang. Harlan Sr. filled the frame, broader than Luke remembered, his face a map of new lines etched by worry and whiskey. What the hell are you doing here? No hello. No handshake. Just venom, pure and aged. Luke stood, chair scraping, meeting those gray eyes square. Ellie called. Said things are bad. I'm here to help. Pa barked a laugh, bitter as mezcal. Help? You? After what you brought on this house. He jabbed a finger at Luke's chest, close enough to smell the tobacco on his breath. You're kind, parading your shame like it's proud. Folks talk. Boy. Lost contracts. Neighbors sneerin'. You think that's coincidence? Ma hovered in the hall, wringing her hands, while Ellie shrank into the shadows. Luke's fists clenched. nails biting palms. My kind? You mean your son, Pa? The one you taught to rope and ride? Or does that only count when I'm straight enough for your liking? The argument escalated like a dust devil, words whipping sharp and fast. Pa dragged out the family Bible, thumping it on the table like a gavel. This here's our legacy. Harlan blood, pure and God-fearin'. You spat on it. Luke shot back, voice cracking. Legacy? This place is crumbling 'cause you're blind, not 'cause of me. He stormed out then, into the night thick with cicada hum, sleeping in the hayloft with ghosts for company. Dawn found him scouting the fences, mending wire with pliers that bit back, pretending normalcy. But normalcy was a lie. Over the next weeks, Luke poured himself into the ranch, doctoring sick steers, negotiating with feed suppliers, even sweet-talking the bank for an extension on the note. Pa tolerated him like a bad tooth, grudging nods over supper, barked orders at dawn. Ma thawed slow, slipping him extra portions, her touch on his arm a silent apology. Ellie was his anchor, the two of them riding the back 40 at dusk, her laughter chasing shadows. You're staying, right? She'd ask, eyes wide. For good. Luke would ruffle her hair, lie through his teeth. Long as you need me, kiddo. Hunter's calls came sporadic, patched through spotty signal. Miss you, cowboy. Place feels empty without your snoring. Luke would chuckle, but guilt gnawed like termites. Just tying up loose ends. Be home soon, lies, all of it. The ranch was a vortex, pulling him deeper. The rhythm of chores, the satisfaction of a mended gate, the fragile peace of a family teetering on mend. He pushed Hunter to the periphery, telling himself it was temporary. But Hunter's voice grew edged, laced with hurt. Don't lose yourself out there, Luke. Not for them. The first real fracture came on a sweltering September afternoon. Luke was clearing the old irrigation ditch behind the barn when his boots snagged on rusted chain link half buried in silt. Curious, he dug, unearthing a padlocked grate over what looked like an abandoned well, bricked up hasty, mortar crumbling like forgotten promises. What's this? He muttered, prying at the lock with a crowbar. He gave with a groan, revealing stairs descending into damp dark. Flashlight beam danced over concrete walls slick with moss, the air fetid with earth and something sharper, chemical tang, like diesel mixed with despair. At the bottom, 20 feet down, was a chamber, shelves sagging under yellowed ledgers, rusted drums stamped with faded Hazchem warnings, and Christ, a stack of plastic-wrapped bundles that screamed contraband. Luke's stomach dropped. Meth precursors? Stolen oil? He rifled a ledger, heart hammering. Entries dated back decades. Harlan Sr.'s scrawl tallying shipments to Houston contacts, payoffs to silence whispers. The ranch wasn't just broke, it was built on poison. Pa's business trips weren't deals. They were drops in a pipeline of dirty money, laundering through cattle sales to keep the facade gleaming. He confronted Pa that evening, ledger clutched like a grenade in the study lined with mounted deer heads and faded ribbons from the Cattlemen's Association. What the fuck is this, Pa? We've been running drugs? On Harlan land. Harlan Sr. Didn't blink, just poured a tumbler of wild turkey, ice clinking like accusations. Survival, son. Droughts, depressions, government squeezing us dry. This kept the lights on. Kept your college paid. Luke reeled, the room spinning. Survival? You turned us into criminals. Manos? Ellie? Pa's laugh was hollow. Your ma turns a blind eye. Ellie's too young for truths. And you were gone. Shamming us with your lifestyle, leaving me to hold it alone. Deflection, pure venom. Luke slammed the book down. Don't you dare. This ends now. We go clean, or I walk, for good. Pa's eyes narrowed to slits. Walk? You'd destroy us. Ruin the name. The threat lingered, unspoken. Stay silent, or else. Nights blurred after that. Luke lay awake in the bunkhouse, staring at rafters scarred by his childhood initials, wrestling demons. Call Hunter, confess the rot, but pride or fear silenced him. Instead, he doubled down, fencing off the well, burning the ledgers in a pit fire that lit the prairie orange. Pa watched from the porch, face unreadable, pact sealed in ash. Ellie sensed the shift, cornering him by the chicken coop one dawn. You're leaving again, aren't you? I see it in your eyes. Her lip quivered, and Luke pulled her close, the scent of straw in her hair undoing him. Not yet. Squirt. Got unfinished business. But the business was a noose, tightening with every glance from Pa, every forced smile at supper. Hunter showed up unannounced on a crisp October Friday, his Subaru kicking dust down the drive like an avenger. Luke was forking hay when he heard the crunch, and there he was, jeans faded, flannel untucked, that compass tattoo peeking as he unfolded from the car. Figured you'd need backup. Cowboy, no anger, just quiet resolve, and Luke's world tilted. They collided in the shadows of the barn, kiss fierce and forgiving, hands mapping familiar terrain. Missed you, Hunter breathed against his neck. Don't make me chase ghosts. Pa emerged then, shotgun casual in the crook of his arm. Not loaded. Luke prayed. Who's this? Suspicion dripped like molasses. Hunter extended a hand. Steady. Hunter Cole. Luke's partner. The word landed like a match in dry grass. Pa's face twisted, uglier than Luke remembered. Partner. Christ. You bring your shame home now. Ellie peeked from the kitchen, eyes wide. Ma froze mid-chop at the counter. The air crackled. Luke stepped forward, chin up. Yeah, Pa. My partner. The man who loves me without conditions. Unlike some, Pa's grip tightened on the stock. Love? That's what you call it? Filth in my barn. Hunter didn't flinch, just met the old man's gaze. Call it what you want, sir. But Luke's worth more than your hate. The standoff stretched, eternal, until Pa spat tobacco juice and stalked inside, door slamming like judgment. That night, over Ma's pot roast, tense, silent, Hunter charmed Ellie with tales of canyon hikes, sketched wind turbines on a napkin to make her laugh. Ma watched wary, but her shoulders eased a fraction. Luke felt it then, possibility, fragile as eggshell. Maybe they could rebuild. Clean slate, new legacy. But Pa's eyes across the table promised war. War came swift. Midnight found Luke and Hunter on the porch swing, stars wheeling overhead, hands entwined. This place is poison, Hunter murmured. We leave tomorrow. Together, Luke nodded, but doubt gnawed. Then headlights pierced the dark. Pa's truck, roaring back early from town, weaving erratic. He piled out, reeking of bar and rage, a pistol tucked in his belt. You think you can waltz in, boy, with him? After everything, the explosion was inevitable. Pa lunged, shoving Hunter against the rail, spittle flying. Get your queer hands off my son. Luke surged between them, fist connecting with Pa's jaw in a crack of bone. They grappled, rolling into the dirt, grunts and curses mingling with Ma's screams from the window. Ellie sobbed on the steps. Hunter pulled Luke off, blood trickling from a split lip. Enough! Pa staggered up, pistol drawn now, barrel wavering. I'll end this shame. Both of you. The click of the hammer was deafening. Hunter froze. Luke's world narrowed to that black maw. But Ellie darted forward, wrenching Pa's arm. No! Daddy! Please! The shot went wild. Splintering porch wood. Echo rolling across the flats. Chaos. Ma herding Ellie inside. Hunter dragging Luke to the truck. Pa slumped against the post. Defeated, the gun loose in his lap. Go, he rasped. And take your truth with you. Luke paused, chest heaving. Truth? You mean the well? The lies? Yeah, Pa. It's over. He climbed in, Hunter gunning the engine, tires spinning gravel as they fled into the night. Dawn broke over I-40, the panhandle flattening to infinity. Hunter's hand on his thigh was anchor. Where to? Luke exhaled, the weight lifting fraction by fraction. Anywhere but here. Austin, your folks' old haunt. Hunter grinned, weary but true. Deal. But first, coffee. And a vow, no more ghosts. They didn't see the taillights in the rearview, Pa's truck. Following at distance. A shadow on the horizon. Austin hit like a fever dream. All live oaks dripping Spanish moss and 6th Street pulsing with neon veins. Luke and Hunter holed up in a sublet studio off South Congress. Cramped, with a Murphy bed that creaked like confessions and windows framing the Capitol dome like a crown of thorns. It was a far cry from the ranch's sprawl, but freedom tasted like breakfast tacos from the truck down the block, shared on a fire escape slick with morning dew. Hunter landed a gig with a solar co-op, mapping panels across hill country ranches, while Luke parlayed his oilfield grit into construction foremanship, overseeing eco-builds that married steel beams to native stone. Love deepened in the margins. Lazy Sundays at Barton Springs, bodies buoyant in the cool spring water, fingers laced underwater like secrets. Evenings at the Continental Club, swaying to blues that ached with minor keys. Hunter's head on Luke's shoulder as the night sweated around them. This is us, Hunter would murmur, breath warm against Luke's ear. No shotguns, no ledgers. Just you and me. Luke believed it, most days. The calluses on his hands softened. The nightmares of that porch shot faded to echoes. But the letter from Ellie arrived like monsoon rain. Smudged postmark and her handwriting looping desperate. Pa's spiraling. Sold the South 40 to some ghost company. Ma's in the hospital, stress. They say. Come back, Luke. You're the only one who can fix him. Fix him. The words mocked. Luke crumpled the paper, but Hunter found it in the trash, unfolding it slow over coffee. You can't, Luke. Not without losing yourself again. His hazel eyes held worry, not judgment, the kind that carved deeper because it cared. They argued then, first real one. Luke pacing the linoleum, voice rising. She's my sister, Hunt. Ma's all I've got left of good in that family. Hunter leaned against the counter, arms crossed. And I'm what? Chopped liver? We built this, us. Don't throw it for their mess. The rift lingered, a hairline fracture. Luke drove north alone that weekend, telling himself it was reconnaissance, not relapse. The panhandle welcomed him harsh. wind scouring the plains, the ranch shrunken under a mortgage noose. Pa was a specter, holed up in the study with bottles and bad decisions, emerging only to bark at ranch hands who dwindled to two. Ma lay frail in the Amarillo hospital, for drip feeding her color back, her hand cold in Luke's. "He didn't mean it," she whispered, eyes fluttering. The gun. The words. "He's scared, baby, of losing everything." Luke squeezed, throat burning. "Including me?" Ellie filled the gaps, her chatter a lifeline, school plays, a crush on the quarterback who didn't deserve her. But at night, in the guest room that smelled of mothballs and memory, Luke pored over Pa's desk new ledgers, cryptic, hinting at desperation deals. The well was sealed, but the poison seeped. A Houston number circled in red, whispers of one last run to clear the debt. He confronted Pa at dawn, coffee steaming between them on the porch like truce flags. "Stop this, Pa, before it buries us all." Harlan Sr. stared out at the empty corrals, jaw working tobacco. "Easy for you to say, city boy. Livin' your life down there with that fella. This here's real. Legacy." The word twisted, weaponized. Luke leaned in, voice low. "Legacy of lies? I found the old books. The shipments. You think I want that stain?" Pa's eyes flashed. Defiance. Then something broken. "Was for you boys. Me and your Uncle Jack. Back when the dust came. He died in that crash. Holland, never mind. Kept the ranch afloat. Uncle Jack. The drunk uncle. Ghost of family lore. Wreck on Highway 87. Luke's mind reeled. Not accident. Cover up. The revelation hung, unspoken. Pa rose abrupt, chair scraping. "Go back to Austin. Tell your beau I said git." But as Luke loaded the truck, Ellie slipped him a key, small, brass, etched HH. "For the attic trunk," she whispered. Ma said now. He pocketed it, hugged her fierce, and hit the road with questions gnawing like wire through gut. Austin waited, Hunter's forgiveness wrapped in takeout pho and a blowjob that left Luke boneless. Grateful. "Missed you," Hunter said after, tracing Luke's ribs in the dark. "But next time, we go together. Partners. Remember?" Luke nodded, but the key burned in his pocket. Weekend came, he climbed to the attic alone, dust motes dancing in sun shafts, the trunk squat and locked under rafters. It gave with a click, spilling secrets, letters yellowed, tied with twine, photos of young Harlan Sr. Arm in arm with a man. Not Ma, but a stranger with Pa's eyes, laughing on a beach somewhere Gulf Coast. A deed to land not Harlan's, signed over in 72. The letters undid him. Love notes, raw and coded, "My wild one, the nights without you carve hollow. Meet at the dunes, under the blood moon. Signed J. Uncle Jack. Pa's lover." The crash? No accident. A setup. Whispers of blackmail from a rival rancher sniffing the shipments that were fronts for their hidden life. Pa had buried it all. The well for drops, the legacy a shield for shame he couldn't face. Luke sat amid the detritus, tears hot, the attic closing like a confessional. His own exile, echo of Pa's unspoken grief. He drove to the ranch unbidden, trunk contents bundled in his lap, storm clouds boiling west. Pa was in the barn, currying a sway-backed mare, back hunched like defeat. "What now?" he grunted. Not turning. Luke spread the letters on a bale, photos fluttering like indictments. This. You and Jack. It wasn't shame, Pa. It was love. Like me and Hunter, Harlan Sr. Froze, currycomb clattering. Then slow, he turned, face ashen, eyes tracing the ink like braille. How? Voice cracked. First time Luke heard it. Ellie. The trunk. Pa sank onto the bale, hands trembling as he touched a photo, young, unscarred, arm around Jack's waist. He was everything. Then gone. I couldn't let it touch you boys. Built walls. The business. It filled the hole. Confession poured then. Dam broken. The drugs a desperate spiral after Jack's death. Ma's complicity in silence for the kids' sake. The bank's noose from bad bets on oil futures. Luke knelt, hand on Pa's knee, first touch in years without fight. You don't have to anymore. We're Harlans. We own our truths. Pa wept then, shoulders shaking, the mare nuzzling his hair like absolution. Ma came home days later, Ellie beaming as Luke mediated a family powwow in the kitchen. Cards on table. No bluffs. Pa admitted the rot. Ma confessed her blindness born of love. Ellie hugged them all. Fierce. No more secrets. Luke called Hunter that night. Voice thick. Come up. Meet the family. For real. Hunter arrived at week's end. Subaru laden with Austin barbecue and wary smiles. Pa met him on the porch, no gun. Just a nod. Heard you saved my boy once. Hunter shrugged. Easy. He saves me daily. Supper was awkward grace. Ma's pie. Ellie's jokes. Pa's gruff questions about wind power. Luke watched, heart full, as Hunter's hand found his under the table anchor. Promise. But betrayal brewed in the margins. A week in, Luke found Pa on the phone in the study. Voice low. Yeah, Houston. One last drop. Clears the debt. The old habits. Clawing back. Luke's blood iced. Confrontation came heated. In the yard at dusk. Hunter witnessing from the steps. You promised. Pa. Clean. Harlan Sr. World. Eyes wild. Can't stop the wolves at the door. Son. This ends it. Hunter stepped in. Calm fire. Ends nothing. Builds bigger holes. Pa rounded on him. Venom fresh. You don't belong here. Outsider. Stirrin' shit. The shove was instinct. Pa's hand to Hunter's chest. Hunter stumbling back. Luke exploded, tackling Pa to the dust. Fists flew. Grunts echoing. Ellie screamed from the house. Ma pulled them apart, sobbing. Enough. We're better than this. Bruised and bleeding, Luke loaded Hunter's car that night. Go. I'll handle him. Hunter cupped his face, thumb tracing the swelling. We handle. Together. But Pa's shadow loomed, truck idling, eyes promising pursuit. The road called, but chains bound. Months stretched taut. Luke shuttled between Austin and the ranch, brokering fragile peace, lawyers for the debt, counselors for the grief. Pa softened slow, sharing Jack stories over whiskey tender, laced with regret. I threw you out 'cause I saw him in you. Couldn't bear the echo. Luke forgave, piece by piece. Hunter's patience the glue. Then the call. Ellie's voice. Panicked. Pa's gone. Took the truck. Said something about finishing it. Luke's gut twisted. Houston run. Final betrayal. He and Hunter hit the highway, stars blurring to streaks, dread coiling tight. The blacktop unspooled like a noose under the Ford's tires, Luke white-knuckling the wheel while Hunter scanned his phone for traffic cams, the dashboard glow carving hollows in his face. I-10 East. Maybe. If he took the old route. Luke nodded, jaw set, the panhandle's flat expanse giving way to rolling scrub as they pushed toward Lubbock. 3 hours in. No sleep. Hunter's hand on his thigh was the only tether. We'll find him, cowboy. And when we do, we end this for good. Luke's laugh was bitter. Yeah. Legacy of fools. Dawn broke bloody over the salt flats, painting the horizon in streaks of crimson. Ellie's updates pinged frantic. Pa's truck spotted on a grainy feed from a Pecos rest stop, headed south. Ma's prayers via text, bring him home safe. The weight pressed, family a mosaic of cracks, each mile a chance to shatter. Hunter cracked a thermos of coffee, black and scalding. Remember that canyon trip? You said you'd burn it all for a fresh start. Luke glanced over, hazel eyes steady in the rearview. I meant it. Still do. They caught Trace in San Antonio, a burner phone ping courtesy of a PI Luke had scraped cash for. Pa holed up in a Fleabag motel off the interstate, the Alamo's shadow mocking from afar. The parking lot reeked of diesel and despair, sodium lights buzzing like angry hornets. Luke's truck idled curbside as they approached room 17. Hunter's knock firm. Harlan? It's Luke. Open up. The door creaked. Pa filling the frame, disheveled, Stetson askew, eyes bloodshot but clear. No gun, just a duffel at his feet, zipper gaping to reveal bundled cash and a ledger fresh as sin. Knew you'd track me, voice gravel, resigned. Luke pushed past, Hunter flanking, the room a tomb of stained carpet and despair. What the hell? Pa? One last run? After everything, Harlan Sr. sank onto the sagging bed, rubbing temples. Debts don't forgive, son. Houston boys waitin', final payoff. Ranch is saved. Hunter snorted, leaning against the dresser scarred with cigarette burns. Saved? Or sold your soul cheaper? Pa's gaze flicked to him, softening fraction, first respect. Maybe. You got spine, kid. Luke's lucky. Confession spilled then, raw as an open vein. The call from Houston, old contact dangling erasure of the note for one haul. Precursors from the border, ghosts of Jack's era. Thought I could bury it with him. But it digs up. Luke paced, boots thudding. Bury it now. Walk away. Pa shook head slow. Too deep. They'd come for Ellie. Ma. The threat lingered. Cartel whispers in the air. Hunter, ever the strategist, pulled out his phone. Call him off. My co-op's got lawyers, environmental suits, tax havens. We flip it. Expose the laundering. Trade for immunity. Pa barked laugh. You? Save a Harlan. But doubt cracked his armor. Luke knelt, eyes locking. We're not alone anymore. Pa. Let us. The pivot was seismic. They holed up in the motel 2 days. Pizza boxes piling. Hunter on calls to Austin contacts, weaving a net of feds and fixers. Pa paced like a caged Mustang, detoxing from denial, sharing jacktails that humanized him, beach picnics in '68, stolen kisses behind oil derricks, the crash rigged by a rival sniffing their side hustle. Loved him fierce. Like you and Hunter. The name hung. Awkward gift. Night 3. Feds rolled in discreet suits and wiretaps. Pa spilling coordinates of drop sites, names from the ledger. Luke watched from the shadows, Hunter's arm around his waist, as handcuffs clicked, not on Pa, but promises of protection. Plea deal, the agent murmured. Testify, ranch stays yours. Relief crashed. Title: Homecoming was quiet thunder. The ranch greeted under harvest moon, air crisp with turning leaves. Ma embraced Pa on the porch, tears silent. Ellie hooped, tackling Hunter in a hug that left him winded. Supper was feast. Brisket slow-smoked, Ma's rolls, stories flowing freer than the creek after rain. Pa raised a glass, voice rough, to truths. And the men who carry 'em, eyes on Luke and Hunter, gnawed deep. Winter settled gentle, healing slow. Luke and Hunter split time, Austin for work, ranch for roots. They mended fences literal and not, Pa learning Hunter's solar pitches over coffee, Ma knitting scarves in pride colors, subtle rainbow stripes, her quiet rebellion. Ellie thrived, college apps glowing with essays on family reinvention. Love between Luke and Hunter deepened, unscarred. Valentine's hike in the canyon, Hunter on one knee with a ring, compass rose etched. Simple band. Marry me, cowboy. Make our legacy. Luke yes-ed through tears, the slot walls echoing yes. A climax brewed in spring rains. A letter arrived, Houston postmark, anonymous, Harlan. Loose ends. Meet at the old well, midnight. Where Ellie pays. Cartel echo, the rival's ghost unfinished. Pa's face drained, old fears rising. I testified. Thought it was done. Luke's blood roared. Not anymore. Midnight found them at the well, sealed but sinister under storm skies, lightning fracturing clouds. Pa clutched a shotgun. Legal now, Hunter a flare gun from the truck. Luke a tire iron, heart steel. Headlights pierced, black SUV. Two figures emerging. Gaunt man in be-on the lookout tie, the rival from Pa's tales, and a younger enforcer, ink-snaking arms. Harlan. Snitched on my kin. Time to settle. Words first. Venomous. Accusations of betrayal. Jack's crash reframed as justice for cross lines. Pa stood tall. Was love, you bastard. Not your game, the rival sneered. Love? Weakness. Gun drawn. Slick Beretta glinting rain. Chaos erupted. Enforcer lunged at Pa. Shotgun booming wide. Luke tackled. Tire iron clanging. Fists in mud. Hunter fired flare skyward. Crimson bloom illuminating the fray like hellfire. Rival aimed at Pa. Luke scream raw. But Hunter charged. Shoulder checking. The shot grazing his arm. Blood blooming dark. The rival staggered. Beretta skittering. Enforcer pinned under Luke's knee. Sirens wailed distant, Hunter's SOS call pinging feds. Pa stood over the rival. Barrel steady. End of the line, but he lowered it. Voice breaking. Go to hell legal. Cuffs clicked as badges swarmed. The night fracturing to blue lights. Hospital in Amarillo. Hunter stitched. Arm bandaged. Grinning through pain meds. Told you, partners. Luke clung. Kissing knuckles. My hero. Pa visited awkward. Bearing flowers wilted from the dash. Oh you, son. Hunter waved it off. Family now. Summer bloomed redemption. Ranch thrived. Solar leases from Hunter's co-op easing the bank. Herds rebuilding on clean land. Pa and Ma renewed vows in the yard. Ellie flower girl at 17. Luke best man with Hunter at his side. The well, filled, capped with a plaque, for Jack. Truth endures. But betrayal's shadow lingered subtle. Fall harvest. A package at the door. Old photo of Pa and Jack. Back scrawled, forgive yourself. Anonymous, rival's kin? Or conscience? Pa burned it, but eyes shone grateful. Luke and Hunter's wedding was hill country simple. Oaks arching, friends from Austin and Amarillo mingling under string lights. Vows raw, in shadows and sun. I choose you. Dance floor cleared for two-step. Pa cutting in with Hunter. Gruff laugh. Treat him right, or shotguns loaded. Legacy shifted, not broke, but remade. Harlan's. Queer sons. Buried loves. Truths unearthed. Human. Flawed. Enduring. Years folded like bellows, breathing life into the cracks. 5 post-wedding. The double H stood transformed. Solar arrays glinting on southern slopes like metallic sunflowers. Cattle grazing under their hum. A hybrid hymn to old ways and new. Luke and Hunter's cabin nestled by the creek. A A-frame of reclaimed barnwood. Porch swing creaking under starlit confessions. Their adopted mutt Rufus snoring at foot. Luke, 30 now, ran the ranch ops with Pa's input mellowed to mentorship. Hunter consulted statewide. His TEDx talk on green legacies in red dirt going viral. Pulling grants that buffered droughts. Pa softened to silver. Lines etching stories not scars. He and Ma traveled slow. Gulf beaches where he'd once loved Jack. Hands clasped on piers slick with salt. Wish I'd been braver. He'd tell Luke over fence mending. Pliers snipping wire. For you. For him. Luke would clap his shoulder. Easy. You are now. Ellie bloomed wildfire. UT Austin freshman. Majoring in journalism. Her thesis a gut-punch exposé on rural queer erasure. Dedicated to Luke, who showed me hiding kills. She crashed weekends. Boyfriend in tow. A lanky poli-sci kid who blushed under Pa's scrutiny but earned nods with honest questions. Family suppers swelled. Ma's table groaning under tamales and brisket. Laughter chasing ghosts. Betrayal's final echo came quiet. Autumn 29. A knock at the cabin door. Dusk. Leaves carpeting the dooryard in copper. Man on the step. Mid-40s. Bolo tie faded. Ice paws gray but haunted. Cousin to the rival, he said. Hat in hands. Heard about the wedding. The plaque. Voice cracked Texas drawl. My uncle. He killed Jack. For the business. But it was jealousy too. Loved him once. Unrequited. Luke froze. Rufus growling low. Hunter emerged. Arm slung casual but alert. Inside, Luke said. Voice even. Kitchen table. Coffee poured black. The man Tom unspooled it. Letters from Jack to his uncle. Spurned. The crash no accident but tampered brakes on a hauler run. Uncle confessed on deathbed. Cancer. Said bury it. But you Harlans. You dug truth. Made me face mine. Pa arrived summoned. Face thunder then still. Tom extended a folder. Affidavits. Faded coroner notes. A locket with Jack's photo inside. Justice. If you want. Or closure. Pa took it. Hands steady. Eyes on the locket. Closure, he rasped. Enough blood. Tom nodded. Rose. Heard you're queer too. Uncle's shadow don't define. Handshake firm. He vanished into the gloaming. That night, family gathered. Unscripted vigil by the well. Now a garden of wildflowers Ma tended. Pa read the letters aloud. Voice weaving love lost. Wild one, the stars remember our promises. Tears fell unashamed. Ellie leaned on her bow, Hunter's head on Luke's shoulder. To Jack, Pa toasted with creek water in mason jars. And the loves that break us open, climax crested not in violence, but catharsis. Pa penned a memoir, ghosted by Ellie, published small press, Dust and Desire, a rancher's reckoning. Sold modest, but ripples spread. Op-eds in the Statesman, invites to pride panels where Pa stood awkward in Beyond the Lookout tie, affirming my son Luke taught me love ain't shame. Legacy cracked, not shattered, but illuminated. Harlan name synonymous with redemption. Luke and Hunter's life wove deeper. A son adopted, little Jamie with Hunter's hazel eyes and Luke's freckles, chasing Rufus through corrals at 3. Mornings started tangled in sheets, coffee brewing as Jamie banged pots. Evenings ended with Hunter's guitar strumming Woody Guthrie on the porch, Pa joining gravel-voiced on choruses. This land is your land, they'd sing, ironic and true. Conflict lingered in whispers, drought years testing resolve, Pa's health faltering with a ticker scare that glued them tighter. Betrayal, forgiven, transmuted to fuel. The old well garden bloomed defiant. Bluebonnets and Indian paintbrush, a bench carved truth roots here. 10th anniversary, they returned to Palo Duro, canyon carved by time, walls echoing their first promises. Jamie toddled trails, Ellie documented for her docu series. Pa and Ma slow danced under cottonwoods, her head on his chest. Hunter pulled Luke aside, canyon wind whipping. 10 years, cowboy. Still choose you, kiss salt sweet, future vast as the gorge. Legacy, not broke, but born anew. Thrown out once, Luke returned not with bombs, but balm, truth that mended fractures, wove queer threads into Harlan cloth. In America's heartland, where prairies meet skies infinite, they built not walls, but windows to love, unashamed, to family, redefined, to humanity, raw and radiant. The end came gentle, Pa's passing in spring 34, heart gave under a live oak, Ma at his side, Luke and Hunter rushing too late but in time for vigil. Funeral was ranch affair. Steers lowing dirge, eulogy Pa's words via Ellie. I was the shame. They saved me. Burial by the well, Jack's locket in his pocket. Grief bent them, but didn't break. Hunter held Luke through nights fevered. Jamie's hugs small sons. Ma moved to the cabin, her cornbread a daily rite. Ellie's series premiered Sundance, Shades of Sham. Harlan's unmasked, standing ovations. Years on, Luke Gray at Temples, surveys the ranch from the windmill's shadow, solar sails fluttering, herd fat on green grass. Hunter joins, arm around waist. Jamie now Jem, they slash them at 12 sketching turbines nearby. Broke the legacy, Luke murmurs. Hunter chuckles. Remade it, love, and in that remaking, truth. Love endures, betrayal teaches, humanity heals. The Harlan way, dusty, defiant, deeply felt.